Hi everybody, I'm Joe Cosentino from Millionaire, and today I want to talk to you a little about saving your money. I get a lot of questions from my peers on how do I save money more efficiently, and I can relate to that question. It's a very good question. I think we all want to be able to save our money, get ahead in life, but the problem is we tend to try to pay all our bills and whatnot, and by the end of it there's no money left over to save. At least that's how I was when I started college. That was my mentality. I'm going to work hard, get a paycheck, pay my bills, and then save whatever's left over. The problem is there was nothing left over every time, so I'm sure there's a lot of us that are in that situation, but as a freshman in college, I started reading a couple books, which I'm sure we'll do book reviews on later, but the whole premise was how to save your money and be more efficient with your money and different things like that. So I wanted to go over the 2 rules that I kind of figured out and started applying while I was in college, and then just give you a couple of ideas from there. So the first one, rule number 1, I call it the 10-90 rule, and basically what that means is I'm assuming that you work for a paycheck. That's how you earn your primary income. The whole idea is you take 10% of that paycheck and you keep it for yourself. That's for your savings. The rest of the 90% you pay for your bills, for living, things like that. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, because I was in the same boat when I was in college. I thought, well, I can't afford to do that. I mean, I can barely pay my bills with the 100% that I am right now. And that just comes down to a budgeting principle, which we'll talk a little bit more about budgeting later. But there's this strange truth in the book where he says that he figured out that once he started budgeting a little bit, he was able to live on the 90% just as comfortable as if he was with the 100%. So I thought, okay, that's a good first principle that I'm going to try to apply moving through college. The second one was from the next book, which was kind of goes hand in hand with rule number 1. It's called Pay Yourself First. One of the big differentiators between wealthy people and poor people is wealthy people, no matter what, they make sure that they get paid first. The money goes through them first, then they pay others later. Poor people, middle class, I was brought up with a middle class kind of mentality where, well, you got to pay your bills first and make sure you pay what everything is owned, but then after that, I mean, you can keep whatever's left. Like I was telling you though, the problem is there was never anything left for me. So the big differentiator I learned is no matter what the situation was, when I got my paycheck, I promised myself that I was going to keep that 10%. And that's the mentality you have to have. Sometimes you might have to hustle on the side to make a couple extra dollars to make it happen, but the idea is that you always pay yourself first no matter what. So I want to go over a little bit of my story, some of the results that happened when I started applying these rules throughout college. So we'll talk about the short-term results first. First, the number 1 was after a couple months, getting that paycheck and taking that 10% away, I had a stash of cash in my wallet. I was really surprised to see how much it started growing. I had so much cash that I actually ended up opening a savings account because I had so much, and I put it in the bank. So what happened after that was I was more satisfied with myself knowing the money was there. I became a little bit more confident knowing if I was in a situation, I could go out, take some money there, and pay whatever the situation was. Maybe my car needed was broke down and needed to be fixed. I had money there. Gave me a little bit more confidence. And then the last one was I actually did learn from the 10-90 rule, the strange truth that I did, in fact, when I started budgeting and paying attention to where my money was going, I was able to live off of that 90%, the same as if I was living on the 100%. Only this time, I was keeping that 10% for myself. So what happened long term was after doing this for a couple years, through my junior year, I was working just a minimum wage job. I had saved up enough money that I was actually able to quit my job and just go to school full-time as a senior, and I didn't even have to work. I had enough money to just pay out of pocket. And then I actually even had a little bit of extra money left over to start my investing career after that, which was a crazy idea. When you start off as a freshman, you're able to move all the way through college and pay for it on your own with this idea your whole senior year and not even having to work. It gave me that sense of freedom and independence that I was looking for and had been working for the last few years. So my Millennial Millionaire challenge for you guys out there is if you're in that situation where you're struggling to save money because you have to pay your bills and whatnot, I just want you to remember your two rules, the 10-90 rule, and I want you to pay yourselves first. And if you do that, I have a strong feeling you'll have some of the results that I have, whether they're short-term or long-term. I wish you all the best in your savings endeavors. Have a good day.